Hello everyone and welcome to another video game review, and this is the first game of 2024 that I'm reviewing. I did already make a comparison between Resident Evil 4 Remake and Original as well as reviewed Apotheon, but neither of those video games were in 2024. So, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is officially the first game of 2024 that I'm reviewing, and this was a really great game, and I really loved it. I really didn't expect to love the game as much as I did, but I had a really great time playing this game. I'm a huge Assassin's Creed fan, but it's really nice to see Ubisoft revisiting their past franchise that I thought was really a thing in the past already. And my history with Prince of Persia is, the first Prince of Persia game I played was actually Rival Swords, which is actually a PSP port of Two Thrones, the third game in the original trilogy. And I later played the very first Prince of Persia game that I also really enjoyed. But I never played Warrior Within actually, but I heard actually plenty of great things about it, and I heard from many fans it's actually the best in the series, so I don't know how they miss it, but I really love The Lost Crown, and The Lost Crown literally made me now want to revisit past Prince of Persia games, and I'm totally planning now to replay the first game and the third game, Two Thrones, but I'm also very much now planning to get Warrior Within and play it for the first time ever. But let's now talk about Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, because I really didn't expect to love the game as much as I did. I wasn't particularly interested in this game at first. I love side-scrollers, but considering that none of the Assassin's Creed side-scrollers, which means side-scrollers made by Ubisoft, were ever particularly good, I thought that maybe side-scrollers were simply not a thing for Ubisoft. Plus, I also thought that Prince of Persia was one of those franchises that was simply in the past already. And this game looked fairly generic for me in every place I seen glimpses of the gameplay, and another reason I wasn't particularly interested in this game. But this actual game proved me to be so wrong. This is not exactly a side-scroller either. It's actually a really great Metroidvania game, and it has everything a great Metroidvania should have. The map is pretty big, surprisingly, and there are plenty of interesting secrets and upgrades as you roam around the world and look for things. Plus, boss battles and enemies are lots of fun, and the story is also pretty good, but we'll get into more of it very soon. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is a reboot, just like a Prince of Persia game from 2008, and it's most certainly still similar in spirit and in overall mechanics and basic idea to the old Prince of Persia games, but it's also an entirely new story set in an entirely new continuity. The story is of course set in ancient Persia, but what really sets up The Lost Crown apart from the other Prince of Persia games is that in the other Prince of Persia games, you played as the titular Prince of Persia, while in The Lost Crown, you actually play as this guy named Sargon, who's actually not the Prince of Persia in this game. Instead, the actual Prince of Persia gets kidnapped, and your job is to rescue him, because Sargon is one of the guards that's supposed to protect the prince. At first at least, but I will not say any more details about the story, but I will say it's actually a pretty good story with some unexpected twists along the way, and I would rather not really share more details about the story because it's really fun to experience them for yourself. I will only say that I think Sargon is a great character and I really love playing as him. What I also really love about this version of the Prince of Persia is that this game actually puts a much bigger emphasis on the Persian history and Persian mythology. The previous Prince of Persia games most certainly had a lot of that too, but now I think this game actually did it a lot more than all the other games in the series. Other games in the series could easily simply pass as nothing more than a fantasy set in ancient Persia. And while this game objectively is that too, I also think it puts much bigger emphasis on its setting and everything that inspired the story and the mythology in the first place. I also really like the overall art and design in this game. It doesn't look particularly realistic, it actually looks much more old school, but for me, this is actually part of the charm. Of all the previous Prince of Persia games, the one it resembles the most is the first Prince of Persia, Sands of Time. And as a result, the art looks a lot more timeless and like it could be made now, like it was, but just as easily, it could have been made 20 years ago. The characters' animations could use a little bit of work, but overall background and environments look pretty gorgeous. So that's my minor gripe with the game. I really wish the characters look slightly better in cutscenes. They still look great though during the overall gameplay, so that's really what matters. The combat is very fast and fluid, and acrobatic moves that Sargon is doing are great and work really perfectly in 2D. Enemies in this game are pretty challenging, which means that you have to take them all seriously. And when you fight, you truly feel like Sargon is a very badass warrior, and executing his various combos, it just feels all so satisfying. Like for example, kicking enemies in the air is really fun, or performing various different combos with your two swords, and there is parrying too. I admit, I never really actually been particularly good at parrying, but here, parrying can sometimes trigger a death cutscene of an enemy that actually makes me really eager to at least attempt to parry slightly more often. And as you progress through the story, you unlock lots of new cool abilities or do various different side quests for some different characters. And the boss battles in Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown are also really good, and they are really fun to fight. They are greatly designed both physically and mechanically, and they look really cool. And I had a really good time fighting and defeating them. They can be pretty challenging, and that makes defeating them very satisfying. And you don't just mindlessly attack the bosses. You specifically have to use abilities that you learn in the game up to this point and use them to defeat the boss. And this is really good, and I'm really having a great time doing that. Platforming in this game is also really great. Prince of Persia games have always been very much about the Persian setting, really cool gameplay, and platforming was always one of the biggest highlights of the Prince of Persia games. Without platforming, the game might as well not even be called Prince of Persia. But thankfully, Ubisoft clearly remembered what fans loved about the Prince of Persia in the past and implemented platforming wonderfully into this game. I just love jumping on the wall and jumping on the other side, or grabbing onto things and jumping up and down. This is all so much fun and requires some challenge and skill, but it is really amazing and fun to play. Is this the best Prince of Persia game? Because yes, on some reviews, I actually seen some people saying this is the best Prince of Persia game ever. Is it though? For me, it's hard to say. It's been many years since I played other Prince of Persia games, so my recency bias might tell me that yes, it is indeed the best Prince of Persia game, but who knows? Maybe if I replay Sands of Time and Two Thrones, and also finally play Warrior Within for the first time, I might actually change my mind, who knows? But yes, The Lost Crown is a great game with beautiful background visuals, a really interesting story, and overall really amazing, fun and engaging gameplay, and it's an all-around really blast to play. and I very strongly recommend this game, and I really think you will have a great time too playing it, especially if you miss Prince of Persia franchise. If you missed the Prince of Persia franchise, then I totally think you really need to play Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, because it has everything that made us all love the old Prince of Persia games. And if you just seek a good Metroidvania game, then I also very much think Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is just the game you need. And if you never played any of the Prince of Persia games but want to get into the franchise, then I think that Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is actually a perfect starting place, because it's an entirely new story, an entirely new continuity with entirely new characters, but it also very much contains everything significant and essential to the old Prince of Persia games that made us old fans love the old games. And as I said, and will say it again, I totally really now wish to replay old Prince of Persia games. I'm totally planning to replay the first game, but also play Warrior Within finally for the first time, and then Two Thrones again. But Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is a really great game, and I had a real blast playing it, and I very strongly recommend it. It's either if you're a Prince of Persia fan or a Metroidvania fan, but it's pretty clear that the developers clearly very much had real love and passion for what they were working on. And good job, Ubisoft. This is how you revive an old franchise. And thank you all of you for checking out this video. Press the like button, please subscribe to this channel, and I'll talk to you soon in another video. Talk to you later. Bye.